Hey everyone, before today's show starts, I want to tell you about one of my new favorite items in the refrigerated produce department. You must try Green Giant Fresh's new veggie bowls. What I love about the Green Giant Fresh veggie bowls is that they are a complete meal, packed with satisfyingly crunchy toppings and a fork for on-the-go convenience. With exciting flavors like the Korean barbecue and harvest, and classic flavors like burrito, Santa Fe, Buddha, and fried rice, you will never get bored with the Green Giant Fresh veggie bowls. I eat them for lunch almost every day. I love the affordable price and convenience. Find Green Giant Fresh veggie bowls in the refrigerated produce department at a grocer near you. Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back to the Produce Moms Podcast, everyone. Today, we have a remarkable guest, a woman that really just frankly does not even need an introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce her because I absolutely adore her work as well as her kind heart. Today, we are welcoming Joy Bauer. Joy is one of the nation's leading health authorities. She's a #1 New York Times bestselling author. She is the health and nutrition expert for NBC's Today and host of Health and Happiness. She is also a mother. She is the author of Yummy Yoga, a new children's book that's out there that really promotes wellness, both in exercise and glorifying fresh produce in the most fun and unique, artful way. It is such a pleasure to welcome Joy to the Produce Moms Podcast.
Lori, thank you so much for that. That was an awesome and super kind intro. I'm thrilled to be here. You know that.
I do. Thank you so much, Joy. And, for all of our listeners tuning in, I first met Joy through the Wellness Your Way panel. And as you can imagine, I was immediately a little intimidated to be collaborating with Joy Bauer herself, a woman I've watched on national television and admired and looked up to for so many years. And, for all of our listeners today, it's going to come out in this broadcast, but Joy really is she's as kind as she comes across on television. And she took it upon herself to introduce herself to me, engage in the work that I'm doing, learn more about the Produce Moms. And here she is today as a guest on our show. So thank you, Joy, for being here again.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you know that I was so thrilled when we wound up really just by coincidence on that panel. And now I'm a little bit like your What About Bob, right? Hanging on to your legs, Lori. and this whole admiration is very, very mutual because I am blown away by all the great work that you're doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you. So I've got a huge smile on my face, but this is going to be a great episode. I want to go ahead and dive right in so some of our listeners can learn more about you, your passions, as well as this great new book. So, Joy, you're not just one of America's leading authorities. You really are one of the world's leading authorities in health, weight loss, wellness overall. Please tell us more about your education and how this all started. What's your journey?
Sure. Well, probably like a lot of people in the field, I was born quite literally with a passion for health. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and my dad was, ahead of his time. He was a big health nut and did every sort of sport there was to do and recruited me from the get-go. So, my parents joke that when I was a little girl, I was probably the only 5-year-old that chose broccoli over Barbies. And, that was the beginning. I was fascinated with food. I was always creating lots of concoctions in my mother's kitchen, making great big messes. Truth be told, a lot went south, but I got an A+ for effort and for trying. And I was also a competitive gymnast. So fascinated with how to optimize my athletic performance, how the body worked. I was always a bit of a science nerd. And, really from as early as I can remember, just had a love for, healthy food and fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and, making all sorts of different ethnic cuisines and textures and combinations in the kitchen. And also at the same time, exploring all sorts of adventurous physical activity. So when I went undergrad, I have a degree in kinesiology and biochemistry, and I actually thought that I was going to go on to become a pediatrician. And when I graduated from undergraduate, I took a sabbatical. And my sabbatical was getting a master's in clinical nutrition at NYU, and really thought after that I was going to go back and get a medical degree and ultimately become a pediatrician. But it was one of those moments. I sat down in my first class at NYU, and it was a nutrition 101. It was an introduction class, and the light bulb went off. I have this passion for health. I love working with people. I certainly have the gift of gab. I don't only love to learn about food. I'm a huge foodie. I love different flavors and combinations and experiences. So the field sort of found me in a way. Right. And then after that, I was in clinical for a long time. I think a lot of people know me as this made-for-television nutritionist, but really I spent the first half of my career working in pediatric cardiology at Mount Sinai Medical Center. So not only did I work with a lot of families, but I had this great opportunity. I wrote a grant to go out into the areas that were at high risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes and obesity, and develop health programs. So the program was called the Heart Smart Kids, and I basically taught kindergarten through 12th grade in Harlem and East Harlem. And Lori, I have to tell you, I still so fondly remember and cherish that job. I loved those kids so much. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those kids, and some of those kids now have kids. And I sort of have to pinch myself when, I think about the change that, we were able to, initiate over there. It was pretty remarkable. And kids are sponges. And if you present information to them in an interactive, a fun, and easy to follow format, they sop it up. They love it. They learn, and then they break the chain. And that's really what happened. So that was my start.
That's amazing. And you know what I call that when you're recounting that very special time and the schools in Harlem? I call that work that matters the most. Work like that, it changes the world. So not just your world, but the world of many others. So I love hearing that. I didn't realize that was part of your backstory. So thanks for sharing.
Yes, no, sure. Now I have a great big smile on my face.
So obviously you're passionate about children and inspiring children and people of all ages to eat, the healthiest foods that the world has to offer, as well as live their best lives. And as you think about those things, how is fresh produce the pinnacle of that solution?
Oh, where do I start?
I know.
Well, I think produce, all types of produce, fresh, frozen, canned, it helps us to shower our bodies with so many important nutrients, vitamins, minerals, fiber, phytonutrients, antioxidants. Plus, with so many people dealing and struggling with weight issues, produce is high volume and it's low in calories. So it helps to fill you up without filling you out. So it's a win, 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 win. We could keep going and going and going. And I always tell people one of the easiest things that you can do to manage your weight and to enhance your health is to include some type of produce with each and every meal. It's simple. And I love being able to tell people to eat something versus to not eat something. It's a positive, beautiful message.
Yes, it is. And what would you say to a mom that is struggling with her own weight issues and it's affecting every component of her life, how she feels about herself, the energy that she has to do her job, how she cares for her kids? What's the one thing that you would say to a mom that's in that situation today?
every day is a new day. And if you believe in yourself and you get your head in the game, anything is possible. It's just food. And we eat several times a day. So if you fuel your body with the right food in the right amount, you can achieve anything. You could be more comfortable in your skin. You can boost your energy and your brain power. You could reduce the risk for lots of different diseases. And most importantly, you can feel markedly better about yourself. And when you feel better about yourself, you're more productive and you have so much more positive energy to give all of the people around you. And there are a few tips that I know are the keys to success. So no matter how many times somebody has tried and failed, here's what I think will enable you to make it stick this time. The first I had mentioned, get your head in the game. So the key to success is not what you eat, but it's how you think. And I always say to people, it's not worth starting on a weight loss journey until you have a personal, significant, and enduring reason for wanting to lose the weight and then keep it off. And when you figure out what your reason is, it's got to be big and it's got to be personal. You want to remind yourself every single day. Write it down on a Post-it note, put it on your fridge, put it in your wallet, put it on your computer screen, put it on the bathroom mirror, put it everywhere, and make sure that you know why you're doing this. And again, it has to be important. So that's the first thing, getting your head in the game. The second thing is I love long-term goals. Everybody has that big number. I want to lose 50 pounds, or I want to lose 200 pounds, or I want to run the New York City Marathon. But it's the short-term goals that keep us motivated. So come up with your long-term goal. And again, make it official, write it down somewhere or email it to yourself or, tuck it away in a book. But then every single week, you need to have official short-term goals. So these would be concrete, they would be tangible, and they would enable you to give yourself a pat on the back every time you check one off. So it fuels your motivation so you continue week after week after week. And then eventually you hit that finish line. So again, the long-term goal could be a number goal. I want to lose 50 pounds. But the short-term goals, I really like action goals. Things like, I'm going to walk 30 minutes every day, or I'm going to brown bag my lunch to work so that I don't fall victim to ordering, pizza or a cheeseburger and fries like my coworker does. Or maybe it's I'm going to try 2 new healthy recipes for dinner this week. Or back to that produce, the point we were talking about, maybe it's I'm going to add vegetables into each of my meals 7 days during this week. So those are the short-term goals, and they're manageable. And again, it will fuel your motivation. It will keep you inspired. And then you're going to make it to the finish line. And I think my last tip, the key to success, and this is a huge one, and anyone who has tried and failed or lost weight and gained it back probably feels this one, and that is to forgive your slip-ups. So many people feel that when they have one off moment, they have muckied up everything and they throw in the towel and then it snowballs out of control. So for example, if you end up having a rich pasta dinner meal, shake it off, enjoy what it tasted like, and then get right back on your health routine the very next day. We're human. It happens. I love food. Lori, I'm sure you love trucks on the dark side from time to time. It's part of the joy of life. But instead of thinking black and white, I was good today, I was bad today, we have to learn how to think in the middle. So when you have a slip up, realize that you're human and it's okay. Shake it off and then jump right back on that health bandwagon. Of all the people that I've ever worked with, and so I have this club, it's called the Joy Fit Club. We initiate people in after they've lost at least 100 pounds just through diet and exercise. So there's no pills, there's no potions, there's no surgeries. It's the good old-fashioned way, just from eating smart and exercising more. And these people have lost and gained weight over and over and over again. But the time that it finally stuck, they lost more than 100 pounds and they have kept it off for good, is when they learned how to eat in the middle. They learned how to forgive their slip-ups and move forward and get right back on their health regimen. That's when the magic happens. And also, I should brag for a minute and say that we are down over 50,000 pounds right now. So I'm not talking about a handful of people. This is a huge successful group who has truly learned how to forgive their slip-ups and not only lose weight, but keep it off indefinitely. So get your head in the game, set short-term goals, and forgive your slip-ups. And anyone who's struggling today, if you make those changes, you will start to see wild success.
Mm-hmm. What an inspiring community you have built. Thank you for sharing. And, you mentioned something in your remarks there about food and the way it tastes, when you were describing that rich pasta dinner. And it reminded me of one of the last panels that you and I collaborated on at the Wellness Your Way Festival in Denver, when you shared remarks on how, hey, we are humans and we want our food to taste delicious. That's number one. I would love if you could share with our listeners today some of those sentiments, like what you shared in Denver.
No, sure. I think that sadly, people think automatically that eating well means deprivation. And you and I know it's the furthest thing from deprivation. Healthy food is a celebration, and food has to taste delicious. It has to, because if it doesn't taste delicious, nobody's going to want to eat it. And that's why we have to be resourceful and creative with learning how to prepare delicious bins of produce, or also like learning to respect and admire a ripe piece of produce that doesn't need anything. I think we get so caught up with doctoring things up with extra sugar and salt and junk and gunk that we forget how beautiful and delicious regular food tastes. But to your point, if it doesn't taste good, nobody's going to eat it. So we need to learn how to enjoy food unadulterated, the way that it's meant to be eaten, and also how to prepare healthy food in a way that makes our hearts sing. And there's so many things to do with healthy food that keep it healthy, but make it that much more delicious.
I agree. And, my follow-up when Joy, shared similar remarks in Denver, it almost made me giddy, because I had just come from a Ag Innovation Summit where I listened to several of America's largest fruit and vegetable growers talking about how all of their innovation, almost all of their innovation is focused on farming the most flavorful produce that society has ever tasted. And that's exactly true. All of these new varieties that are popping up in the produce department, it's the most flavorful produce we've ever experienced. And it's extremely exciting. I think it's such a critical thing. And when we eat food and celebrate life with food, it has to taste good. So, talking about celebrations in life, I really do want to talk about your new book. You have several books, but your new book, Yummy Yoga, I love it. I absolutely love this book.
Thank you. I'm like getting all giddy. Lori, I'm so madly in love with this book. It's my very first children's book. And the entire first part of my career, I spent working with kids. So it's kind of like crazy that I've written so many adult books, yet I've never addressed the younger population in book form. And here's why I wrote it, because I hear over and over again, and I know from raising my own 3 kids, my kids are grown now, but I know that as parents, we want it all for our kids. We want them to be confident and comfortable. We want them to be happy and thriving. And most importantly, we want our kids to be healthy. But it's tough to get little ones to try new healthy foods and to get them out there and exercising. And especially in this world with over technical stimulation, with video games and, with computers and television and all of that stuff. So what I've done here with the book is I merged health education and fun. And I figured out how to get kids excited and engaged so that at the end of the day, they will try healthy foods and they will move in new directions. And I picked yoga because you don't need any fancy equipment. You don't necessarily need to go to a gym. You could do it alone. You could do it in groups. You could do it on the living room floor. And there's so much great research now showing that all exercise boosts the immune system and all exercise helps to elevate confidence and self-esteem. But what yoga also does, and again, on a shoestring in terms of you don't need any budget for it or fancy equipment, is that it increases balance and flexibility and inner strength and focus. And it can also help to ease anxiety and stress. And there's some research showing also that it can improve academic performance. So that's why I really honed in on yoga. And we invented these food sculptures. Laughing because they look like
this book is amazing.
They're actually sculptures.
It's unbelievable. So as a quick descriptor for everyone who's listening, when you open up the book on the left-hand side, you see a child doing the yoga pose. So I just opened up the book right here and I opened it to Warrior Two pose. So for anyone who's familiar with yoga, Warrior Two, you're kind of in a lunge position. Your hands are out straight and perpendicular really to the legs. And on the left-hand side, you see the child demonstrating the pose. On the right-hand side of the same page, you see a fruit or a vegetable or a compilation of fruits and vegetables creating that same pose. So for Warrior Two, it's this corn cob that has, that's sticking up and it's got these husks. I mean, it's just brilliant. And then you fold out the page, you've got a really simple, fun recipe that is absolutely something that you can make with kids.
Meanwhile, the listeners are like, wait, what?
I know. It's wild, but it's amazing.
You did an unbelievable job describing that. So much better than I could have ever done. But it's hard to understand because it's so visual. But yeah, so the idea was to make it super fun so that kids would giggle and they would try to do the poses to imitate these fruit and vegetable yoga poses, and then they would flip the flap and then there would be a recipe for them to do with mom or dad or grandma, or I think it's great for teachers or for older siblings or for aunts or uncles. And the idea was to help all of the caregivers and people out there who are struggling trying to get their kids to eat better and to exercise more. Like this could be a fun vehicle to encourage them to just get excited about it and latch on to a healthier lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I see this book being used in libraries and classrooms. I see it being used in daycare centers. This book is so much fun. And really for any mom out there that's listening, who's planning a classroom party for your children's class, whether it's a upcoming holiday party or, a semester break party, whatever, just simply go buy Yummy Yoga and walk the kids through some of these poses and maybe have them try to build the pose that they see out of a fruit or vegetable. I mean, it would be so much fun for the kids.
It's a Yummy Yoga party. I love it. I love that. And if you do that, please send me pictures. Tag me. I want to see them.
I know. Well, I agree. And, that being said, we could go on and on, Joy. That's one thing both of us have learned about each other. We could literally have a 5-hour long podcast right now, but we're not going to do that. We both don't have that kind of time today, unfortunately. But, we are at the end of our show. I want to make sure that all of our listeners know where they can go to purchase Yummy Yoga. I want to make sure that they're aware of your website, joybauer.com, and of course, any closing remarks you might have.
Yeah, my website is joybauer.com, JOYBAUER. There's a huge recipe index if you're ever looking to find recipes and various ways to make delicious produce. Definitely check it out. And for information on the book, you can go to yummyyoga.com, YUMMY yoga.com. And definitely follow me on social media. I'm at Joy Bauer, JOYBAUER, and that's on Instagram, on Twitter. And I think on Facebook, I'm Joy L. Bauer. And if you have any requests, I read all of the comments. So if anybody has a special dish or item that you've tried in a restaurant and you'd like me to tackle, bring it on. I love challenges.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to Lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.